Hello students. So welcome to our first video of our guesstimate series. Today we'll discuss a guesstimate. So let's first read the question. How many people in Delhi will lit a cigarette from wrong side in a day? एक दिन में दिल्ली में कितने लोग सिगरेट को उल्टा जलाते हैं? So this is one of the basic guesstimate questions. So first let's discuss what are the things that are required in a guesstimate. So what does an interviewer want to know when he's asking you a guesstimate? He want to know first whether can you build a solution or not. It's not about the final answer, it's only about the approach, how you are going about the question. You can clarify the question multiple times, but you need to show your approach. Like I'll do this, then this, then this, then I'll arrive to the final answer. Keep telling the interviewer what you are thinking, how you are approaching the question. Second, are you good with the numbers? Can you take good assumptions? Can you do this minimum calculation in between and move ahead? Are you not making calculation mistake? And the last one is, can you validate your answer with the question? So suppose, how many people in Delhi will lit a cigarette from a wrong side? In case you are getting an answer of, in a day, suppose 10 crores. So that answer cannot be right. You can validate that 10 crore people cannot lit a cigarette from the wrong side in Delhi in a day. So how can you validate that where your assumption has been wrong, what went wrong, is there any calculation mistake? So these are the three things: your approach, your ability to work around with numbers, calculations, and finally your validation. So let's first move to the basic assumption. Yeah, these are some useful number. I have curated this picture from internet. So you can see this number will be very useful in while solving a guesstimate. So you should know the population of India, 1.3 billion. In guesstimate, you can assume this to be 1 billion. The gender, you can usually the sex ratio is 9:10, but you can assume that 50-50%. Divide between urban and rural class, 30-70. This is the very basic assumption we use. All the interviewer are familiar with this. Major cities, Delhi, Mumbai, they have 1% of the population. You can assume 10 million, 1 crore population for each. Age group, 0 to 14, 15 to 35, 35 to 60, above 60. How many percentage of people are there? So you can see below 35, 70% of people are there in India whose age is below 35, and rest 30% is above 35. Marital status, this comes very less in the guesstimate, and this is the most important, the income share: poor, lower middle class, upper middle class, and high. So the poor basically below poverty line, these are the poor people. These three can be considered in the lower middle, and upper middle can be considered in a middle class, and let high will be the extreme case, the extreme rich case. When the guesstimate is about a very luxurious product, this filter can help you to exclude the majority of the population. So if an interviewer will ask me this question, how will I go about it? So I will first tell him, first I'll calculate the number of people in Delhi smoking cigarette in a day. Then I'll move to the question, among them, how many of the user will lit the cigarette from the wrong side. So my first approach is calculating number of people who are smoking cigarette. Then the approach number 2 will be, among them, how I can take the assumption that they are letting the cigarette from the wrong side. Okay. So here, how many factors do I have? So first, I should know the population of Delhi, 1 crore. Then I have age factor, I have gender factor, rural urban, income, and last is willingness. Whether a person is willing to smoke a cigarette or not. Sorry. So in our case, I guess, because it's asking about Delhi, this factor will not be a part. So these are the 4 factors that we should consider: age, gender, income, and willingness. Now the most important step here, we have to decide which factors should we apply first. It's very important that we should know the order in which we should apply this factor, and this application will vary from question to question. Let me decide in this case, but in different cases the application of this factor will vary according to the question. So in this case, as we know, below 18 no one is smoking cigarettes. We should assume that below 18 in India no one is smoking cigarette. So this factor has a higher priority. In gender, we have to consider both gender, male and female. That in female also female are also smoking and male is also smoking. So this is a less priority factor. Willingness we should consider at the end, and then income, because here it is we are talking about cigarette, and in cigarette there are 2-3 categories, some BDs and different categories. So income should also play an important role. We can exclude a below poverty line population. So in this way, first we'll go about age, then income, then gender, and then willing. So first, second, third, and fourth. So you should know, you should let interviewer know that you are moving in this direction, how you are prioritizing this factor, how you are. First you should let the interviewer know you will calculate the number of people who are smoking cigarette, and then you will calculate how many of them will be smoking cigarette from the wrong time or letting the cigarette from the wrong side. Then you should tell him that I am considering these 5 factors. Urban rural will be ruled out. Then I have to prioritize, so I am prioritizing the factor on this basis, and then I'll make a sketch, make a approach, make a flow chart that how I am arriving to the answer. So I think let's move to the answer. So let's start with 1 CR population, 0 to 18. 18 to 40, 40 plus. Here you can only assume 0 to 18 or 18 plus, or to go in more detail you can assume 40 plus also, because at the end we can say the person who has more experience has a less probability of lighting the cigarette from the wrong side, or this is the only factor because of which I am considering 40 plus 2. So as we know, we have approximately, you can say 30% population here. Then I can say, you can say 40, and you can say 30. I'm just making a rough assumption. This you can say I am assuming this for an easier calculation. This can be done. Now we have excluded no cigarette. Now we have to take a factor of income. So in income we are only taking 30% as below poverty line, BPL, and rest 70% are eligible. So now income, we have a factor of 70%, 70%. This is the case. Now gender. Fifty, 50, 50, 50. Now we have 4 cases here. Why we are dividing it into gender male and female? Because the female will have less willingness to smoke a cigarette and the male will have more willingness by nature of it. So here we are getting, so if we arrive at we have to arrive here. So 50%, 40%, 70%. So after calculating, this will become 40 lakh. This will also become 40 lakh. 70% of 40 lakh will be 28 lakh. So for easier calculation, so it's 28 lakh is fine. 28 lakh. And then 14, 14, 14, 14. Okay. So we have came with this number. We have this population 14, 14, 14, 14 till now. Now we have to assume the willingness. This is a very important factor, willingness. So a young man, a man with 18 to 40, between 18 to 40 age group, among 10 people, I can say 2 people will smoke and for 40 plus, among 10 people, I can say 1 people will smoke. This is the assumption I can make anytime in the front of interviewer. So here I am assuming 0.4, 0.2 and 0.1. And we are also considering Delhi. In Delhi, in a urban city, people smoke more as we compare to other tier 2, tier 3 cities. Now, in case of women, among, I guess, 100, one woman will smoke. So here I can assume 0.1. And in this case, for easier calculation, I can assume 0.1, but this can be slightly less than 0.1. So after doing this, we'll 2.8. Okay, 2.8 lakh, 1.4 lakh, sorry, 0.14 lakh, 1.4 lakh, 0.14 lakh. Because these numbers are very small, in comparison to this, we can neglect this number as of now. So 2.8 lakh and 1.5 lakh. So we can assume this number to be 3 lakh, we can assume this number to be 1.5 lakh. So now, so far, we have got this two numbers, 2.8 and 3 lakh and 1.5 lakh. So I hope here it is visible, or I am doing here, let me know if it is not visible. So it's 3 and 1.5. Okay, 3 lakh, 1.5 lakh. Now we are coming to the most crucial part. What are the factors in determining whether a person is smoking cigarette or lighting cigarette from a wrong side or not? What can be the factor? First can be the state of mind. These are the brownie point you are if you are doing this correct, you will be having more chances of getting through this guesstimate successfully, because majority of people will come to this point. More or less, majority of people will come to this point. Now, here the interviewer is testing what are the factors you can think of which will decide whether a person will smoke cigarette from a wrong side or not. First will be the state of mind. A person is already drunk, already high, so there is a more probability that he'll do mistake. First factor is that. Second factor I can think of is it's dark. People are smoking at night. So a night factor can be there. There is darkness in the room and he's trying to smoke and he's letting the cigarette from the wrong side. Third factor is he's immature. So person who is just starting to smoke, just started smoking at the age of 18, 19, or who has just started smoking in past 1 year to 1 month, something like that, who is new, who is immature. So these three factors. One more important factor. So some cigarette are symmetrical, like it's white from both the side, or it's symmetry, because it's difficult to identify what is the correct side to lit up. That's why a person is doing mistakes. So we have all identified these four factors, and this is the point where we are getting selected. Because we have identified these four factors, the interviewer will be impressed, because we have think holistically, we have given an exhaustive solution that these are the factors because of which a person is smoking cigarette from the wrong side. So I am clearing this. So we had this number 3 lakh, 1.5 lakh. Factor 1, drunk. Factor 2, darkness. Factor 3, immature. Factor 4, symmetry. So we could say 10% of the cigarette is symmetric, like 1 in 10 cigarette is symmetric, and because of symmetry, I guess again 10% people will make mistake. So this will count for 0.1 factor. Immature, I guess this will rule out in this case. Because this will come at, because we can neglect, because this will come as a very small number. Immature people will lie in 18 to 40 years of age, because after 40 very less people will try a cigarette. They might have already tried cigarette and they are continuing smoking cigarette. So I guess 1% of the people are immature, and out of this, again, 10% will make mistake. So because of this, we have a factor of 0.001. Darkness, also we consider if 50% of people are smoking in a, like 80% of people are smoking in a day, in night, or you can say 60% of people are smoking in night, and out of this, 5% is making mistake. So it's 0.12%, here 0.001%. And because of drunk, I guess you can just take, based on this assumption, it will be 0.01%. So if you add all these percentages, so it will be coming approximately 0.04% here, and again 0.04% here. So we could just take an approximate percentage of 4. So 4.5 lakh was the number if we add all this, and then 0.04%. So 1% of 4.5 lakh will be 45,000. So it will somewhere around, we can say 15,000. So look at this number, 15,000 people in Delhi in a day is smoking cigarette from the wrong side. It's not a very vague number. It's not very hard. It is not impossible to believe that in Delhi, with a population of 1 crore, 15k people are smoking cigarette from the wrong side in a day. So this is the number. You can even justify the number, like in Delhi there will be 1,000 pubs or 10,000 pubs. At each pub, in one day, at least 2 people are there who is smoking cigarette from the wrong side. Then there will be hostels, there will be rooms. So you can anyway justify this number, which will give interviewer more confidence that the person is correct. He has the approach, he has the thinking, he has done good thing with the numbers, taken right approximation, came up with the number, and also validating this number based on the basic common sense. So in this way, the guesstimate can be solved. This is called from the demand side. It's not from the supply side. So the supply side can be, we could take a brand, ITC. ITC hold 40% share. How many companies are there in India? What is the production for per day? And in this way, we can calculate this question from the supply side. So very important part in guesstimate is, first we have to decide whether we need to go from the demand side or the supply side. In case you have been asked, how many people are visiting to a PVR cinema hall, PVR theater nearby your house in a day. So we'll not calculate the density, the population, everything. We'll calculate from the supply side, how many seats are there, what is the occupancy rate, what is the day, what is the time, how many movie slots are there, something like that. And in this way, we are calculating from the supply side. Demand side, how many people are there who are eligible to smoke a cigarette, how many people are willing to smoke a cigarette, and how many people are actually letting the cigarette from the wrong side. So I hope you like the video. Keep subscribing to our channel for more such video. Do let me know in comments, should we continue this series? Are this series is beneficial for you? Thank you.